Hello everyone, bringing you a video today looking at a recreation of the kit of a lieutenant of the 2nd Battalion of the Dorsetshire Regiment serving in Burma in 1945. The reason for looking at this sort of rather specific recreation is that the officers of the 2nd Dorsets managed to acquire some US kit and some US weaponry, and as a result of that, it's not exclusive to the 2nd Dorsets, but they're a particular example of that. And that's one of the things we're going to focus on looking at this recreation here. Obviously, it also gives an opportunity to look at the kit produced out in India during the Second World War, and hopefully this will be of interest. And without further ado, we'll get into the main part of the video now and have a look at the recreation. Looking at the recreation here, you can probably already see the interesting mix of US kit, a small element of US kit, and obviously the US weapon carried as well. And we'll talk about those in more detail as we look at this. Obviously, the rest of the kit is basically standard issue kit, a standard issue British and Indian Army kit from this time period out in Burma in 1945. First thing we'll mention, of course, is the weapon carried, and this is the M1 carbine. Now, these were procured by the commanding officer of the 2nd Dorsets. They were liked for the very reason for which they'd been designed, the fact that they were an intermediate weapon between a pistol and a rifle. They were not as heavy as a rifle, but had a lot more stopping power and a lot more range than a pistol. And they were, of course, a much better weapon than the stem machine carbine. Moving on to look at the headgear, we have a standard British Mark II steel helmet here with a helmet net. Fairly standard headgear for British troops out in the Far East at this time. The bush hat or slouch hat was also worn, but helmets were very, very common, and that's what's worn here, as you can see. The basic uniform consists of Indian clothing, and the shirt is an Angola wool, not Angora wool, Angola wool shirt of Indian manufacture. This has been modified in having a collar added. Normally these were a collarless shirt, they just had a thin cotton tape around the collar rather than having a proper stand and fall collar as we have here. These were very popular garments. They absorbed sweat which wicked away from the body and evaporated, keeping the wearer relatively cool in the heat of the day, and they did provide some warmth at night as well when temperatures could drop. The trousers are the jungle green drill trousers, which are part of the Indian battle dress uniform, which had been introduced in 1943. This consisted, of course, of a cellular battle dress blouse and these drill trousers. The blouse was very commonly replaced with the shirt we see here or a bush jacket because it wasn't popular, but the trousers are essentially the standard jungle uniform for British troops at this time. An early form of subdued rank is worn, as you can see here, and this is just two squares of black cloth sewn onto a jungle green drill rank slide, and these are worn on both epaulets of the shirt. The web equipment carried is a standard set of Indian-made 1937 pattern. We can see the basic pouches at the front here, carried on the belt, and these of course have the L-straps from the haversack hooked into them to help support and balance the equipment. To the rear we can see the haversack carried on the back, and beneath this the water bottle is suspended from the brace ends over the centre of the belt. This means that the equipment is a little bit more balanced, particularly when another weight is not being carried on either hip. US kit comes into play again when we look at the lower leg wear, and we can see here a set of US M1938 leggings. These do turn up occasionally with British officers out in the Far East at this time, and there are photographs showing officers of the 2nd Dorsets wearing them. These are worn with a pair of standard British GS or ammo boots. It was very common at the time again for officers to wear issue footwear like this rather than private purchase officers' boots. So looking at the overview of the recreation again here, you can see there's not a huge amount here that would differentiate an officer from other ranks, which is obviously another important thing. This is very common in Europe at this time as well. There's very little here other than the subdued rank, which would differentiate this uniform and kit from that of other ranks. So I hope you found it interesting looking at that. If you have and you'd like to see more of this sort of thing, please do consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. And whether you're newly subscribing or you've previously subscribed, please do make sure you hit the little bell, the little notification button down below. That will of course alert you when I upload future videos. If you really like my uploads and you would like to support the channel, you can. Both Patreon and PayPal are linked down below. And as ever, a massive thank you to everybody who supports the channel using those two methods. It's greatly appreciated, as I always say. Thank you all very much indeed. If you'd like to follow the channel on social media, you can. Facebook, Instagram and Twitter are all linked down below, and there will of course be photographs of this posted up over there as well. If you'd like to get in touch but you don't really use social media, there is an email address down in the description as well. That's everything for this video, so until next time, bye for now.